I'd like to call the meeting to order. Have you taken roll call?
I have. Everyone is present, except Julie.
All right, so we have not
So
had
we
a
do have a
meeting
quorum.
since November 17th because we didn't meet in December. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from that November meeting?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes.
We have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, motion carries. Minutes are approved. We have public requests and petitions. We have David Lehman, Jenna Bentrup, and Heather Martin. Is that all for the same request?
It is.
Okay.
It
All
is.
right.
David, even though you're a Board of Alderman member, for the record, please state your address for us, please.
I live at 708 Pinecrest Avenue, Kearney, Missouri.
Okay, I'll let you take off with your public request and petition, please.
All right. So we've got a couple other people on the call, and I'll just give a brief reason why we're here, and then I'll turn it over to Jenna Bentrup and Heather. They are the district professionals. So why we're here tonight is last year, the Heart of America Council of the Boy Scouts, or Scouts BSA, let me be correct here, reorganized districts within the Kansas City area, went from 14, I believe it was, to 9 districts. The North Star District covers everything from Platte County, Clay County, the northern, everything north of the river in Ray and Carroll County. So by land mass, we are the second largest, or I think land mass, and Jenna can correct me if I'm wrong, but land mass were first largest in the council. By membership, we're second largest in the council. And so every year we have events that Scouts, whether they be Cub Scouts or Scout BSA members, that at the district level. Cub Scouts have what's called day camp, and then the Scout BSA program has Klondike in the winter. We have Camporee in the spring or fall. And these events, no matter whether we're talking about day camp or Camporee or Klondike, will bring in hundreds of Scouts and their families and leaders into the city of Kearney. The reason why we're here is that Kearney is now the central point from the 3 or the 4 counties that we cover, being Platte, Clay, Ray, and Carroll County. And so the leadership came to me and asked me if I thought it would be possible to use Jesse James Park for scouting events. And I said, well, I don't know. We can certainly talk to the park board and see if that's even possible. I've talked to Ryan and I keep wanting to call him Tumbleweed, I'm sorry, Eric. I've known him too long, so, and so they suggested that we come to tonight's meeting, as representatives of Scout BSA program to try to get, the park board's blessing to use Jesse James Park for, at least initially, would be day camp, Cub Scout day camp, and possibly to branch out into using it for Klondike Derby, and even possibly camporee. So, Jenna, I think you're on. I'll let you, or Heather, I don't know whether Heather's on here or not, but I'll let you guys take over.
Sure. Well, thanks, David. Yeah, so my name is Jenna, and I'm one of the, so I'm an employee of the Boy Scouts, and I am the—
Jenna, real quick, Jenna, I need your address for the record, please.
Oh, sure.
If you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So I'm over in Jackson County, though. No, 7726 South Cook Road, Blue Springs, Missouri, 64029. And so, yeah. So we would love the opportunity as we look, as I'm new in this role as well, to outreach in the community and work with our local cities. And Jesse James Park would be a really great location. It's just out there today to provide an outdoor experience for our Cub Scouts. And typically we have around 300. So this is grades 1st through 5th, and then their parents as well. So it'd be close to probably around 400 individuals out at the park. And obviously they're running our summer Cub program. So typically that would involve, they do games and crafts and leather work. We also do our shooting sports that really encompasses what scouting is, with trained range instructors, with BB guns and archery and slingshots. I know that would want to be part of the discussion as well. Like I said, all of our camps are accredited and go through very strict guidelines and policies through the national BSA organization to be accredited. So we have many safety procedures in place to make sure we're running a safe program with the shooting sports, and all of our adults are trained as well to give you background in that, and I can provide more information. So typically they're out there during the day from like 8 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. And it's just a day program where they come and do scouting, go home that night, and then come again in the morning. It's typically like Monday through Friday. And so David and some of the fellow scouters had just mentioned that Jesse James obviously has a really large acreage and great facilities there that we would love to explore to see if that would be a possibility this summer. I don't know what other questions or concerns.
I have one, Jenna. Do you have any dates in mind on the Monday through Friday that you're looking at presently, or?
Sure. I mean, right now we're very flexible and would be accommodating to your schedule. Typically it's around June. We usually have it mid-June, but we are flexible to what your schedule would allow.
What parts of the park are you looking at using?
Sure. That's open to discussion too. Obviously, if we could use your wonderful pavilion area to have some type of shelter would be ideal. But in the past, we've had these type of events out in the open field and brought in like pop-up tents and brought in canopies ourselves. Obviously, that's a lot more strenuous, but we can do that if it's just an open field. But if you had any like covered pavilions, I know you have there, those would be the number one ideal choice. But ultimately, we can set up our own canopies too in an open field.
Would the pavilion be like for the eating and things of that nature, I'm sure you're gonna, if it's 8 to that, you're gonna have food and beverage and, you know, your lunch and stuff like that. But if you said like BB guns and things of that nature, I would suggest that you don't use that for one reason. There's a lot of walkers that are out there all day long, and there's a trail just on the south side of that pavilion. And while we're on the topic of this, with the archery, BB guns, the slingshots and things of that nature, I'll let the board know, whatever you decide tonight, that's great. Or you can table it for tonight. But if you allow the scouts to do the at least the Cub Scout day camp, if they want to have those types of events, we would have to forward this on to the Board of Aldermen with our blessing that we're recommending that this be allowed to happen, but it has to go to the Board of Aldermen, because there is an ordinance that there are no projectiles allowed in the park, such as slingshots, archery, BB guns, things of that nature. But it can be done. I just wanted to let you know before you make a motion or table this, or to get that in the back of your head. You can allow this by all means, or recommend it, I should say, to go to the Board of Aldermen for them to make a waiver or deny the request. So, because it is an ordinance, and the board has to waive an ordinance for a special request on that matter. So with that, I'll let the board continue to discuss.
Well, I would like to jump in real quick, guys. This is Ryan Marcotte, for those that can't see me. Regarding the archery and BB guns and the projectiles and stuff, I think a good location for that might be in what Eric and I call our North 40 area, which is where we shoot the fireworks out of. There's, a bunch of woodland, kind of backing that, and there will be nobody, walking. The trails don't go up in that area, so that might be a proper place for that, maybe.
Ryan,
Ryan,
I think you and I talked about that, didn't we?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you there.
Isn't that the area that you and I talked about?
Yeah, that's one of the places we talked about that might work.
Right.
Well, I think it's
I
a
do know
idea.
that this has been allowed in the past as a waiver for the Jesse James Festival. They did their quick draw event out there where they shot wax bullets to a board, and they set that up on one of the down soccer fields where it's down and it's away from people, if they didn't want to have to maybe go all the way to that northeast corner of the
That's
park.
a great point, Eric. That our bottom soccer field where we had flag football this year would be a really good location for that, and it's not completely out of the way either.
Right. So there's areas there that it's not affected by the close proximity of trails and so forth. But if you gets approved and so on and so forth, and the board allows the waiver for the projectiles to be happening, we can surely work with you guys and on the different specific locations of things for the event to make it happen and make everything safe. And one thing I would need from you guys, or the city would need from you guys, is all of the Boy Scouts insurance. Excuse me. Naming the city as an additional insured, and that we would have to have that on the actual certificate of insurance and given to us. That way we're covered with your general liability policy, again, naming the city of Kearney and all of its employees as additional insured.
Sure, definitely. We do that for many of our scout units and scout troops that are out, so that wouldn't be a problem. And just to reference, when you mentioned the pavilion, like I said, we're flexible wherever you guys would be letting us have the great opportunity to be out there. That would be more like for check-in, registration, like first aid, and then possibly, like you said, they bring their own lunch and just to have a shaded area to have lunch. So
Perfect.
that would be more for that area.
So is this event, would you consider this like a closed camp? So the camp would be, the park would be closed, or our residents would be able to still use it for the entire week? Because I'm not sure if there's a security risk coming from a church standpoint. Any of our youth camps would be more closed to outsiders that haven't been background checked and things like that for security purposes. So I was just wondering, is this a closed camp, or the park would still remain open?
Sure. I would definitely wouldn't want to, I would say your park could still be open, but the area that we're in, if we could kind of keep that, we have wristbands and t-shirts and a lot of identify. I'll make sure that whoever's there for our event would be identifiable through the t-shirt or the wristband, but also would kind of try to mark off, if it'd be all right with some type of marking, that we could make our place a little more private, but I wouldn't expect the park to be closed to your residents, because obviously the walking trail and fish in the pond and all that, your residents would still, I'd want to have access to that. Speaking of the pond, I didn't know if that would be, fishing obviously is a great scouting activity too. Just inquiring if that would be a possibility to utilize the little pond area too.
All of even when we have events out there, such as the Chamber Bull Ride, in years past, we never closed the park down. It would just be a fee, like if someone does go into the park, we don't shut the park down. The only time that we do is exclusively for the Jesse James Festival. When we have a shelter reserved, say just at the playground, we have shelter reservation signs that we put up, which we would, if they use the pavilion, we would have that. And then naturally you'd have parents there that way with checking in with their t-shirts and the wristbands and things of that nature. And then we could have signs. And that's why Ryan and I, when we were talking about the location for especially the projectile things, the bottom area, hardly anyone ever goes down there, and we can mark off Boy Scouts, something. We've got an A-frame sign, and they could have signs made up, but we'd work around all the logistics to make sure that the park is safe for the general public to use, because we do have shelter reservations even during the week at the playground. People using the soccer fields, mainly they use the 4 upper soccer fields, or the very bottom 2 that are down on the roundabout, which now has the trail that connects to Jesse James Park. So we would want to keep all those areas open for public use, and segregate your activities from the open public.
One other thing I might mention that we probably at some point need to talk about would be the fees that the city would charge the Boy Scouts or Scouts BSA. We are a not-for-profit corporation, and so any fees that the city would charge the BSA would obviously have to be passed on to the participants, and we obviously try to keep these fees to the participants as low as we can, so that we get as many participants as we can too. So,
what has the when you've had these camps at other locations, what have they charged you as a group with the large number, because right now, for example, our fee to use, and it's for a profit, or we only rent to nonprofit organizations, we will say that, to host events to raise money for their nonprofit organization. The chamber, when they did their last bull ride, they didn't do one last year, naturally due to COVID. But out of town nonprofits are $400 a day, $550 for a 2-day event. Now that is when they're trying to raise funds, but that's why I kind of wanted to get an idea. Has the groups been charged in years past to use other park facilities or other facilities where the camps may have been held?
Sure. So I'll be honest, it varies. I mean, obviously a scout is thrifty. So a lot of times we try to offer a service project back or in some aspect of how we can partner together in the future. I do know that some of our camps, obviously there is a fee and it's usually no more than 500. It's kind of in that ballpark for the week is kind of what we've been able to work with some of our other organizations, or definitely see how we can do service projects or give back in some aspect if it's a free will donation. But I understand that you guys are operating too and have expenses on your side. So we hope we could work on that level.
Oh, go ahead, Jenna. I'm sorry.
Sure. Yeah. So I said, but we're willing to be flexible. We do usually have a line item budget if needed to pay it at some level. But obviously, like you said, it's usually camps around $50, $50 to $70, depending on what time they sign up for a week. So it is very, very economical for our families at this young of an age to get them in and doing scouting. And so we don't want to charge too much to make that a deterrent to come.
Well, I would propose, since it is not a like open to the public fundraiser type event like other events we've had, maybe like a per head fee, a per child fee or something might be appropriate. And it could be, just off the top of my head, maybe like a $3 fee per kid, because that would be, $3 for 3 kids, or excuse me, 300 kids. That'd be around $900, for a 5-day event. I think that might be appropriate. I don't, that's ultimately up to the board to decide, though.
When you said the fee, Jenna, was that for the week fee? Around you've been people have been charging you $450 to $500 for the week fee?
Yeah, generally.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean
Okay, so if you have 300 kids, if we do that proposed, what Ryan was saying, that's $900. If they do a Monday through Friday and something is rained out, I think we can lower that and, do charge them. This is my recommendation. I'm going to be lower and do it like someone would be doing it for a 1-day event, do $450. It's in the price range of what they've been paying. It still helps us because we're going to have a lot of trash that we've got to get done at the end of the day. And if it's 8 to 5, we come in earlier in the summertime because of the heat, because we're on heat schedule, because we're on the mowers. So we leave like at 3:30 in the afternoon, but we come in at 6:30 or 7 in the morning, don't take lunch. Where the next day, then we'd have to clean up the trash, dump the trash in the dumpsters, get the barrels back, and that way it's ready for use. So there still is expense for us that we have. But I think if we're in the same ballpark, $450 to $500 for the entire week, people are going to come to town. We realize that, and they'll spend money in town. But we still have to protect our investment out there as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I wouldn't expect to use your guys' trash either. A lot of times we either have to rent dumpsters. I mean, you could even bring it up a little bit, or people bring their trash out. So I guess that I didn't even expect to utilize your trash service either. So, but definitely I know there's
Well, we have
expenses on
big
your end.
dumpsters that they get dumped, and it's probably just as easy this way. At the end of the day, we know what we've got to do, just as if someone would be renting a shelter. At
Sure.
the end of the day, we dump the trash every day out there.
Well,
We'd also have porta potty expense too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
That's one
generally,
thing that you have to, if we don't have the amphitheater season, because we don't know, and that's another thing. If we don't have the amphitheater season, we will not have the extra Johnny on the spots out there. And that would be a requirement. Well, you'd have to have something out there at different locations, spread out throughout the park. We have ours that are in the parking lots, and a couple of them up by the pavilion and a couple of them down by the roundabout. But that would be something that now if you would have to take care of, unless there is, like I said, our amphitheater season. If that's the case, there'll be a bunch of them up by the up by the pavilion. But if you use the bottom soccer fields, one of them, you'd have to have probably an extra toilet down in that area at your expense.
and most of the time we end up renting our own porta potties, or we're
Okay.
expecting that. And we can work with whatever company you
Yeah.
guys want to work with, but yeah, we're used to having to.
we've had people bring them in before, and it's, bring their own in, and it's not being an issue. You can bring in,
Okay.
whoever you want.
Sure.
One thing I might mention is that I've had previous discussions with the mayor, and Ryan and Eric. I would suggest that you might want to touch base with the mayor. He has ideas about the fees and all that. So you might want to touch base. Like I said, Mayor and I have talked while we were talking about this before we came to the park board. So might be a good idea for you guys to talk to the mayor about that.
Are you needing to? We meet once a month. So if we table this, unless you want to do it and we discuss fees at the next meeting, we have staff meeting tomorrow with mayor, and then we could bring you back at the next meeting and say, here's our proposal. This is what we're going to do, and we can do it that way, or the board can recommend something, because the park board in itself has the authority on the fees. We recommend the fees and set the fee schedules, as we have in the past for people using the baseball fields and things of that nature that we did last fall, the shelter agreements and things of that. So it falls directly upon you as a park board.
Is setting a fee of $450 for a week going to set a precedent for other people who want the park for 2 days and we're trying to charge them $550?
Well,
We haven't had, like I said, that if someone is doing it for a profit, like to raise money, like the chamber did, that's what we have done. But we haven't had people a large group that wants to come out and use it as a day camp that is a nonprofit organization that has their liability insurance and so on and so forth to cover incidences and things of that nature. So basically, this is different than someone wanting to raise funds for their nonprofit organization.
yeah, I think the difference is a open to the public event and a closed event, which which is what the camp would be.
And I understand if this is the conversation but like Heather and I can can leave so you guys can discuss on your level.
It's,
And
it's
we're
open
happy to
meeting.
get back. We're happy to connect, email, phone. You guys, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. We really appreciate the opportunity.
It's an open meeting. So,
Okay.
that's, discussions take place in the open.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to approve this for $450 for the week for them to use, plus or minus the porta potties and some other extra expenses, and to move it on to the chamber for a final, not chamber, for the city alderman for a final vote. I'd like to make a motion that we approve this for $450 for the week.
Do we have a
I
second?
have a motion. Yep.
I'll second that.
And who
Is
is
that Dan?
Yes.
Okay, Dan. All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All
Is
opposed?
that unanimous?
Is there anyone opposed? So I think it's unanimous. Motion carries. We will send that.
Thank you, Connie.
to the Board of Aldermen.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It sounds like a wonderful event.
That's
Well,
awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I will say this real quick. We will take this to the Board of Aldermen at their next meeting, which would be, I think that's February 1st. And hopefully by then we'll have if you guys could get with us on a regular date, that you would prefer to have this. That way we can take it to the board and they have the exact dates, and we'll do the proposal to them, and they can either waive the fee or waive the projectiles and let you have it, or they'll stick by the ordinance. But as of right now, you've got at least the use of the park right now. The first step's taken care of.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. Look forward to working with you, hopefully down the road.
What?
Thank you.
All right, moving on to old business, youth sports and spring sports.
Right now we're gearing up to have spring sports. We still don't know, and that's another thing that we talked about just briefly with the Boy Scouts and their event on the number of people that can have that, because there's a plan, and Ryan can explain it more. He's been researching it and in detail with the youth sports and groups and gatherings, which the scout camp, that could be all a moot point if things aren't relaxed by the Clay County or a mitigation process of how they can have this. So Ryan, I'll let you delve further, explain that a little bit more, please.
Yeah, so currently, right now, Clay County has restrictions on gatherings of 10 or more people. So that does not technically include the sports, the athletes themselves, the kids playing the sports, but it would include the spectators, so parents, grandparents, siblings. There are mandates in place as far as the children engaging in the outdoor sports do not have to wear a mask while they're actively engaging in the sport, but while they're on the sidelines, they do. So they do, however, have a way to petition them for an exception to the essentially right now the rule is no spectators are allowed, but you can petition them for an exception for each individual sport, and we would have to list off the days we're doing it and our plan as far as keeping everyone social distance, and we would recommend masks as well. Even though they're outdoors, we would still recommend the mask because that would increase our chances of getting approval from Clay County to have spectators. So with all that said, we are going to be starting our signups sometime next week for soccer and baseball, softball, t-ball for the spring.
Good.
Now, all this could change. We don't know what tomorrow holds. So they could clamp it down completely, or they could relax it. So we're, like we do with our fall sports, we're kind of just going to go with the flow and hope for the best. In the fall, we're lucky we didn't have any outbreaks or anything. And we are also just absolutely blessed that with the weather, we got to have every single one of our games in a row with no rainouts, no breaks. That's literally never happened since I've been here. So we're going to just hope that good karma keeps going. So that's pretty much the plan right now for youth sports.
Awesome. Let's move on to dog waste stations. How's that going?
We have not heard from the Rotary. I know that the grant was approved. I don't know if the dog waste stations have been delivered to them or not. Dan,
They have not, Eric.
Okay, I was figuring it'd probably be springtime when those arrive, and when they do, we'll get those things taken care of and installed and ready for the spring summer season. But I'm looking forward to that. It'll help us out tremendously in the parks with those stations. I think it's wonderful, helps keep the park clean as much as we can, because everybody again is itching at the bit. The park was absolutely loaded today with people walking, a lot of them with their pets, and so when those come in, we'll get them installed as soon as we possibly can. And I don't have anything else to report on the dog waste station.
All right, moving on to new business. Lions Park Master Plan update.
Things are progressing in Lions Park. Right now, we're a little bit in a lull period because we really don't have frozen ground where the playground installers can get in and start installing the actual playground. If you've driven by the park on the north side of, right on First Street, you can see all the playground equipment bundled up there. And like I said, we're just waiting for a good hard freeze where they can get in there with their equipment, because it'd be a muddy mess right now for them to start the install. Ryan visited with Park Planet today. They are in the process of getting their OSHA training, which isn't hard for them to do, but anything with city on city public ground, everyone has to have their 10-hour OSHA training, which helps protect us and protect them. Mega Industries, the general contractor, has pulled out. That way this next phase, that way they can work in conjunction with each other in steps. They will come back after Park Planet is almost done and continue to put concrete in. There was a little bit of problem with the concrete when they poured it. Some was more wet than the other, and we did a walkthrough, and Mega was it wasn't up to their standards, and they know that, and so they will be replacing a bunch of the concrete as well, because they want us to be very happy with the project and so on and so forth. So it's moving along. We've been in contact with our architect. The colors and the base of the bathroom has all been finalized. The architect has got all the specs on that. And, Ryan and I were in contact with Larry. What day was that, Ryan? Monday? Something
Tuesday.
like that? Tuesday. So that's going on. The shelters, all the cut sheets and things of that. Everything is, on order, being made, being processed as we speak. Let's see, what about that, the signage, Ryan? I'm drawing a blank on that.
So that's one of the few things we still have to finalize is the signage. Basically the stone and stuff and the signage. It's going to be it's going to be really nice. It's going to have a stone face, and then it'll have pinned metal letters to the stone face. It's going to be originally the spec was for engraved stone, and I think everyone just agreed that the raised metal letters that are kind of pinned to it will really pop and just make it look fabulous. So the sign's going to be roughly in the same area that the old Lions Park sign is, but it's kind of going to have a bit of a curve to it, and it's going to look really nice. So we were kind of discussing that with Larry on Tuesday as well.
How about
I
the
couldn't
siding
remember
for the firehouse?
that. I'm going to write that down that you mentioned that, Connie. Hang on a second.
Yeah, we kind of briefly had a discussion with Ply Jam, and they agreed to help us out with that, and we're very, very thankful for that. And they actually are going to be letting us know exactly what colors we'll have to choose from, because it's a new. Well, I don't know how much I can say, but it's a different product than they've offered before, and so we'll be.
So they don't have what we picked out.
Well, it's very, 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 very similar to what you picked out. The color actually is called natural cedar, if I'm not mistaken. It's a different product that it's actually thicker than what Brian Beasley came over and asked if we would even be interested in this. And they've done one home here in town, and Ryan and I went by and looked at it, and it's just fabulous.
Yeah, it looks like the concrete hardy plank siding. It's real high end siding, especially for vinyl. This is the nicest vinyl I've ever seen.
And it's got the insulation right built into it. It's not insulation and then the siding goes on it. It's actually molded to the actual siding, and it's really thick. And like I said, he came here and met with Jim, Ryan, and I, and we wanted it as close to the color, and we got the color that it is. You really probably won't even be able to tell, Connie, because we liked the color when you and I and Christy and Ryan met over there. So we're excited about that. We haven't heard anything else back from them. We're still trying to find a installer for that. And if we've got to pay for that, we will, because of the large donation that will entail, and save us a lot of money on the actual product. I would like to suggest, if we can, if it's not cold next month, I'd like to, well, it's at 6:30. We're not going to be able to see anything at 6:30, but if we can get one or two of you at a time, that way it's not, quote, a quorum where we're meeting basically without publicly saying we're having a meeting. In the next month, we should be able to really see some progress out there, and I'd like to have you guys come over in groups of 2 sometime and do a walkthrough, and we can tell you everything. That way, you guys out in the public, people ask you questions, we want you to be able to say to people, this area is the play, you know, and give them a more updated description of what the heck's going on over there instead of, well, there's a splash pad, there's a playground, there's a walking trail, you know, and you can just have more in depth of what the heck's going on over there. So, and this way it keeps you up to date instead of us sending you pictures, unless you want us to send you pictures and then you can tell people about it. I don't care, but I just thought it might be neat if you guys can come see an update of what's going on.
I like the pictures, but I would love a tour. I think
Sure.
that'd be great.
Okay. Okay.
And I was going to say regarding the siding, that will technically be a different project from the Lions Park renovation project, because we have not line itemed for the siding. So that will be a separate project. Likely will be installed towards the end or at the end of the general Lions Park project.
That is correct.
Did we figure out where to put the lion statues? I know that was a concern of Marion's earlier. She was concerned about the statues.
The statues.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric.
No, go, Ryan.
Okay. The statues will be displayed prominently. We've kind of been thinking they'll be in the general vicinity of where the sundial will be. So as you come into the as you're walking in from 2nd Street, there'll be a concrete walkway that will lead up to the shelters. And there'll also be kind of a branch parkway that will lead off over to the spray park, or excuse me, the splash pad. And right in that area, we're planning on putting the sundial there, and it'll have a nice new base built up, and then the sundial will sit on top. And we're thinking most likely the lions will be kind of in that area. And we actually have them in safe storage right now in the shed. And those things are heavy.
All right, do we have any more questions about Lions Park? Let's move on to trout stocking at Jesse James.
We just, a couple weeks ago, we met the Missouri Department of Conservation, and they threw another 500 in there. And I don't know how many times that we get calls. In this stocking, we were the only ones in the metro area. Liberty didn't get another stocking. We did. It's something that we feel that is nice for the public to come out and continue to do, especially on nice days, or people out there again today fishing. So that's something we're going to continue to do on a yearly basis. But I don't know why people didn't, if they didn't have the funds or whatever, but I think that's feather in our cap that we're continuing the program and offering different things for whether it's kids or adults or you know, the families coming out and doing some wintertime fishing, especially with the mild weather that we've had so far. It's a great thing for people to get outdoors right now.
Eric, I actually talked to the gentleman from the conservation department on the phone that day. Yeah, his name escapes me, but he told me that they're actually down a hatchery right now for the trout, and so they're kind of basing on who gets it on the volume of people fishing. So that tells you right there how many people use our pond for fishing. So that's pretty cool.
It's great.
All right, any more questions about that? If not, let's move on to new park equipment.
Prior to the meeting, there were some of you that were here, and we briefly talked about, we are actually getting 2 new items for the park. With the budget this year, we weren't able to get our mower until now, and the budget looks good enough that they recognized that the Parks Department needed our extra mower. And so that has been placed. We did bids, and we used a statewide contract bid. And actually, Dave Cox at Kearney Lawn and Outdoor Equipment was lower than the state bid. So we are getting a new grasshopper mower from Kearney lawn. Now will be delivered to us end of February, first week in March. So we're excited about having a third mower out there. That way, when we're out mowing the trails and we've done all the big areas with our pull behind tractor mower, we can continue to mow and get the parks done, because this last year we started mowing every other day to help with expenses on our budget with Mac Porter Park. And we anticipate trying to do that again this year to help keep the park mowed, because if not, you just have incredible amounts of thatch out there, and it just looks terrible if we don't do that. So this mower is really going to help us, and we're in dire need of one. The second thing we will be getting is a new utility vehicle. Our John Deere Gator is a 1998 model, and we spray all of the areas at Mac Porter Park and Jesse James Park for broadleaf weeds. And we were really in need of that because the transmission slips, especially not too bad when you don't have the big 70-gallon water or 60-gallon water tank with chemical in it. It's a heavy piece of machinery, and this is going to help serve a great need that we need as well. So the board, they did a budget amendment, and we used excess money from our fireworks that we didn't use all of, and transferred money to get us a new UTV. So the Board of Aldermen and Mayor and Jim saw that necessity for us, and we're going to be getting that first week in March as well. So 2 nice new pieces of equipment to help replenish our depleted stock.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Oh, I didn't say where that was from. We did a statewide bid because they have statewide contracts. However, the statewide contract was from STS in Lebanon, and it was for a Kawasaki model. There's really no Kawasaki dealers in Kearney, so if something would happen to break down in future years, which you have to have maintenance on them, we'd have to have Freeze order the parts. They would have to work on it. They always upcharge for out of their brand use, and we were like, we've got a hometown business right here. Let's keep our business in town. It helps them out. It helps us out. And it was only, I think, about $900 higher over the statewide bid. But in the long run, it's going to save us money, and it's going to help a hometown business as well. So
That's
that's
good.
what we did. Yes.
So you're
We're
helping out
excited.
2 hometown businesses.
Correct. Both of
Great.
them, we stayed local for money. Yeah, that's great.
All
So
right.
that's all I have on the parks equipment.
There's no more questions about that. Do we have any board comments about anything?
We have shirts that are coming in. We have all but one shirt, or your sweatshirts, I should say. We can try and deliver those, or we can call you and you can stop here at City Hall and we can get them to you. Whichever is best. We can do it either way, but we want to get you your sweatshirts. They are in.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Very nice.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting to February 18th?
That is a Thursday.
I see
Again.
that. Thursday, the 18th.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. The meeting is adjourned until February. Thank you, Brian and Eric.
Thank you all.